Okay, so welcome back, Elaine, to the Zoom room. We're going to go into our email for today. It's a quote and some teaching related to that, and then that'll lead us nicely into our lesson. It's going to be a short session today, just about an hour, and yeah, so we'll end at 3. If we don't finish it all, we can continue this evening. So let me share my screen with you. Okay, and okay, so if you can read that quote for the day. Do you want me to make it a bit bigger?
No, I'm fine. I just pinch it out.
Yeah, there we go. Made it a bit bigger for you anyway.
Not yet. Yeah, as I say, I've got the facility to pinch it out.
Mm.
If you are in a state of intense presence, you are free of thought, yet highly alert. If your conscious intention sinks below a certain level, thought rushes in, the mental noise returns, stillness is lost, and you're back in time.
Oh, so quite pertinent to what we were discussing. So
Yeah, very true, yes.
thought rushes in, mental noise returns. So lots of thoughts. You're thinking usually about the past or the future. If you notice, it's not present. Because in the present moment, what do you really think about, if you're honest? What is there to think about? You can be in awareness in the present. You can experience it. You can enjoy the moments, but without thought. That's the interesting thing. You're there, but you're not thinking. There's just this aware presence, and it feels very very good. It feels very relaxing, very peaceful. So free of thought yet highly alert. That's what he means. So the mind training, you're thinking, what he's doing really with his methodology is saying, well, yes, I know that you're obsessed with thoughts, so we need to use your thoughts now to say just don't think. Now that's is an approach some teachings, particularly Eastern ones, take. It's not really realistic for a Westerner. We struggle to not think at all. So it's saying, okay, well, let's use your thought, but we're going to redirect your thoughts. Now the Holy Spirit is going to be guiding your thoughts. So he's giving us thoughts to think in the form of these lessons, but they're very directed. They're actually thoughts that are connecting you with your source, with your true self. So you're using thought now to take you back into the state of pure formless awareness, where ultimately there's no thoughts required. But on the road there's going to be a lot of constructive, positive thinking required in order to train your mind to get back into that state where you can just be aware in the present moment and not thinking any dysfunctional thoughts. So Eckhart Tolle in this quote talks about being in a state of what he calls present, which there's no conscious thought, but you're extremely alert or aware. That's a state in which the pure formless awareness that is your mind's base state and true nature, what's also been called God in many religions, been called the ground of being by some philosophers, occupies your mind entirely. And there's no room for other dualistic thoughts about what's apparently happening or expected to happen in time and space. And so you're just present, you're aware, and no past, no future, but it's a complete state, and there's nothing really to disturb you. If you need to think in that state, you can, but it's not dysfunctional thought. So you might need to cross a road, you might need to whatever. You can operate on that level, but there's none of the dysfunctional dualistic subject-object thoughts that Eckhart refers to as mental noise, which are just designed by your ego and mind to obscure the truth that pure formless awareness, or presence, as he calls it, is your natural state of mind, and in fact, the only state in which you can be truly happy. So I've mentioned this before, but given it's in the email, I'm going to talk about it briefly. Had an experience back in 2021. It was on the 9th day of a 10-day silent Vipassana meditation retreat. And so 12 hours a day, quite intense and grueling, because it was cross-legged and you had to sit up. And you weren't allowed to speak to any of the other participants. It was noble silence. So I reached a point where I felt it was best to lie down on my bed for a few minutes to rest my aching body, despite the teacher's instruction never to do this. So I was like, okay, just something intuitively was like, okay, just lie back. And so in the moment, I let go of all the discipline of the practice, and I relaxed, and I just went into this intense presence, as Eckhart calls it in the quote, what Yeshua calls a holy instant in A Course in Miracles. It's been called many things, a moment of satori in the Japanese Zen tradition. All conscious thought, sense of time dropped away. I was merely aware that I was aware. I wasn't asleep. There was an awareness of this presence, and I was just in it for a while. I don't know how long that lasted. There was no sense of time. It was probably under a minute, maybe 2, maybe 5. I don't know. There's no way of telling, because it's a timeless state. And then I came out of it briefly, and then it was like a kind of huge download. It was just like this awareness, or the Holy Spirit interpreted the experience for me. And it was almost like the entire course kind of downloaded. It was a weird feeling. It was just like, I get it. I kind of understood experientially then what the veil of illusion was. I understood more clearly than I ever had before. That I had invented. There was a real sense of, I've invented this external world, and all I've done that for is as a way of justifying all kinds of unhappy, meaningless thoughts, and covering over this pure formless awareness. That's really the only thing of any real value, because everything I truly wanted, right? Infinite love, eternal peace, endless joy, permanent happiness, was contained in this awareness. I just experienced it. I was like, that was so beautiful. There was nothing lacking there. There was nothing missing. So I experienced viscerally. It was very like a quite, a felt experience. What Yeshua and all the great spiritual teachers have taught throughout time about this world being a veil of illusion, covering the truth of our pure formless awareness or being. And then I felt incredibly sad, because like, wow, like how could I have done that? I really had a sense of the loss of that state of pure formless awareness. And I felt quite a deep sadness. Found myself crying for a bit. The whole experience lasted maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But I remember it for the rest of my life. It was what has been called a peak experience. And a mystic experience is another way of phrasing. Interestingly, Abraham Maslow coined the term peak experience for these experiences, but he insisted that it was the same as a mystic experience. He said, there's no difference. I've just used the word peak because in the world of psychology, they weren't that open to the idea of mystic experiences. So he just changed the terminology to kind of open people's minds who may have closed off. But he said it's exactly the same thing. So it was a peak or a mystic experience, and probably the closest I've ever come to God or this presence, because I really was that in that moment, those few moments. I really was that presence. There was no sense of any separation. It just was whole. It was complete. There was no self-awareness even. There was no sense of I and this other presence. It was like just a complete surrender. I've had it once or twice before, but never quite as strongly as that. So it gave me a deep insight into the nature and purpose of the dream world we've all made up to replace this pure formless awareness. So that's how it goes. The truth reveals itself, and then it gives you a perspective on the dream world that you didn't have before. And I really understood experientially then why it's called a veil of illusion, and why our minds and the external world are absolutely integrally connected. They're not separate. The mind, ego mind, has made up the external world to justify the negative thoughts and emotions that it wants to feel, which then negate this presence. And that's the only purpose of the world, which is why the world does what it does. It's why the world is typically not a happy place. It requires a lot of mind training to be happy in the world. Well, why is that? Why do you have to go completely against the world's thinking to be happy? It's because it was designed by the ego precisely to make you unhappy. That's the purpose of it. So, as I said, I was this presence for a while, a few brief moments. I was just pure formless awareness, aware of itself. I was that awareness in those moments. You can't really describe it in words, but we try and explain, which is part of the problem. Mystics have been in human societies for thousands of years. There's always been mystics, but the people don't understand them because they speak of experiences that the people don't understand, and then people get scared of those experiences, or they dismiss them as hocus pocus, or these people are delusional, or they're on drugs, or whatever, because they haven't experienced it themselves. So in the end, it becomes your own experience. You have to journey with these things, and to find the truth yourself. So that experience happened because of many years of spiritual practice and 9 days of intense practice. That's why that experience came. So it was exactly, I got lucky because I'd done a lot of spiritual practice. I became accident prone, and the accident just happened on the very last day of the retreat. But it wasn't really an accident. It certainly wouldn't have happened. Almost certainly wouldn't have happened if I hadn't done the 9 days leading up to that. So I hope it motivates you to stay on the path. Just keep practicing.
Oh yeah.
Doing the spiritual practices related to the study and the program regularly, because you just never know when you may have an experience of like this, of intense presence or grace, as Yeshua calls it in A Course in Miracles, even more profound. Sally, towards the end of her stint with this group, was having hours just going into these deeply peaceful, blissful states for quite a long time. So that was a product of a lot of mind training. She did a lot of work, and then they just started spontaneously arising. So that can happen. So it's you practice so that you open the way for these experiences of grace to come when we're ready for it. Without expectation, you don't say, oh well, I'm expecting one of these experiences. You just practice with no expectation, and you allow it. So as I said, maybe you want to read that. Enlightenment is an accident.
Enlightenment is an accident, but spiritual practice makes you accident prone.
Quite a nice way of phrasing it. So you do the practices, and then you're much more likely to get lucky. Which isn't dissimilar from how it works in the world. I remember
it's a bit like the lottery. If you keep putting the lottery on, you've got more chance of winning it.
Your odds are hopefully better than 14 million to 1 with enlightenment. But the more you practice, the more you play. So it's the same in in sport or other areas of life. There's a guy called Gary Player, who was a top golfer years ago, in the era of Jack Nicklaus and stuff. And he said, well, the more I practice and the harder I work, the luckier I get. Like, well, yes, because you honing your skills, you're putting yourself into a flow, and then the practice allows you to enter the flow state where these kinds of so-called lucky breaks happen, and you just happen to hit a hole in one, or do something quite extraordinary because you're so practiced at it.
I have to say I've given up on the lottery because I just never won. I never won. So I can't really liken it to
never
that.
really done the lottery. Well, it's just expectation.
Yeah.
It fuels that's why, in the Bible I think it says don't gamble, because it fuels expectation of some kind of outcome, and that takes you away from pure formless awareness. You're no longer satisfied. You're like, oh, well, if I won the lottery, that would be great. And then you go into a fantasy world of what you do with all the money, which is totally future based, and it's fantasy, and you disconnect from the now. And then it doesn't happen. You go, oh, well, I'm disappointed again. Oh, it's not going to happen. And then you pick yourself up. Oh, well, I'll buy another one, maybe next week. You see? And so it's the roller coaster ride of desire, and then a disappointment, and a minor grievance, and then desire again. And all of that is being used to cover over pure formless awareness of perfect love. That's all it's for. When you understand that, then you're like, well, and even if I won the money, there's many stories of lottery winners who have a disastrous time because they don't know how to handle it. So the ego goes crazy. And they've now got 100 million or something, and they have no idea how to manage it because they didn't earn it. And they blow it all, and they get themselves into awful trouble. And actually it creates a lot of unhappiness in their lives. So it's not necessarily a good thing at all. So rather don't engage in those. You're okay as you are. You trust that all your needs will be met, and you guide it in what to do. I never got the guidance to. Well, I remember when I started off on this path, I was like, go and go win the lottery or go to a casino and win, and that'll kind of fund because I didn't really want to go into the corporate world and get a normal job. So I had sort of, okay, well, this could work, but and power of positive thinking. If I believe I'll win, then I will. So I really did. And of course I didn't. And then I was like, oh, huge disappointment. But it was really showing me that that's not how you're supposed to use your mind. The mind is truly, we're not meant to be attaching to form outcomes. We're meant to be letting go and trusting the spirit to provide in ways we can't necessarily know. Okay, our needs will be met, and we follow the guidance. So not that we don't do anything, but you follow guidance in order to meet those needs. So
finance is a big one.
So as I said, you can experience presence to a greater or lesser degree in every breath break we do, in every meditation. By showing up and you're doing the live meditations, you're accessing a state of presence to some degree when you go into meditation. That's the benefit of meditation. So certainly not a bad second prize, and will prepare you for the experience of grace, or beyond that, what Yeshua calls revelation. So grace you might call like just a really immersed flow state. Often you can still be in the world, but you're not of it, you're in flow. And then revelation is taking you entirely out of the world. It's a state in which your mind is only aware of pure formless awareness, has no awareness of this world, of time and space at all. So that's pure formless awareness of perfect love. And you can enter that, but it probably won't last for that long. And you can't really function in revelation. You're not in the world. There's no time and space anymore. The world disappears, and you're just in this pure formless awareness or light within you. So that's a glimpse. That's a state of heaven. Pure formless awareness of perfect love is heaven. Whereas the grace and the revelation are. Show you this diagram. So at the very top here would be revelation, nirvana, samadhi, kinds of like deep mystic experiences, pure formless awareness of perfect love, we call it, in which that's level one. You're united with your source in that moment, and so there is no perception in that state. There's not even a true self. You've just merged into pure formless awareness of perfect love. The true self, or the Christ, and true perceptions come in when you're dealing with the world. So true perceptions are Christ's vision, which allow you to reinterpret whatever's happening on the level of form through from the perspective of just perfect oneness. So it's able to still function in the world, in fact, very well. So it's the kind of top of the tree. It's the optimal way of functioning in this world is to be rooted in your true self, and then allow it to have true perceptions, which correct all of your misperceptions of fear, sin, guilt, lack, scarcity, loss, sickness, suffering, and death. All of that gets corrected, and you perceive from the state of oneness that actually everything's okay. You overlook all misperceptions, and you see the underlying truth that they're actually okay, just as they are, just as you are. So this kind of pure formless awareness is a level one experience. Grace would be a state. I've included it down here. Of you're still in perception, but it's a very awakened, enlightened perception. We call a flow state. Sometimes also called salvation, flow, intuition, surrender, at one-ment, enlightenment, awakening. These are all terms for really the same kind of state, being purely present. You're in the moment, but you're still able to operate in the world and perceive. Okay, so let's go back to the teaching. This bonus discussion, we talked about grace and revelation. Yeah, okay, so I've talked about that. The regular spiritual practice will help you to live in a state of grace or flow, help you be more effective in every area of your life, while you seem to be living in the world. So it's a win-win deal rather than the win-lose. Right? You can be in the world, but not of it. The world doesn't take away your connection with Source. The win-lose deals the ego continuously tempts you to accept is it asks you to deny your Source. It asks you to deny love and peace and joy, and accept its meager offerings instead, which are usually form-based outcomes that it says you want. You need it, you want it, so go for it. And it then becomes a substitute for the deeper love, peace, and joy that you actually want. So why wouldn't you want to do these practices? Why wouldn't you dedicate every day to doing these spiritual practices when they offer you a state of flow, a state of grace, a very happy dream, and ultimately full awakening, ultimately pure formless awareness and perfect love. Right? So it feels pretty good. Why are you transitioning from ego into spirit? You can have a lot of peace, a lot of love, a lot of joy, connection, holy relationships, awakening experiences, and then ultimately the destination is beyond. It's mind-blowing. It's beyond anything the ego can conceive of. Pure formless awareness of perfect love is just absolute perfection, and that's where you're going to end up, in a state of mind where there is no negative, there's no negative thoughts at all, and you just rest in that awareness eternally, which is what our hearts yearn for, to go back to that state of oneness, which we thought we left, but in truth we never really left it. So if you didn't watch this bonus discussion, I included again some good stuff on sin versus error and lesson 155, which is a really nice lesson in surrender. We've got another one today. So we reviewed the descent into hell diagram. We've been this. Okay, great. We just got some more time this evening. So we can continue on this evening. We're not going to finish everything in the next 25 minutes. And so are you okay for 6 o'clock?
Yes, that's fine for
You want to
me.
do
Yeah.
6? We'll finish the lesson on the text. From this diagram's point of view, this is the top of the tree. This is level 1. This is where it's all leading to. This is pure formless awareness, perfect love, revelation, nirvana, samadhi. And then while we're still operating in the world, ideally we want to operate in a state of grace. We want to be right in between here, where our true self is able to know God, but also interpret the world, reinterpret the world for us through the Holy Spirit. And when we live in the blue arrows, that feels pretty good. We feel pretty connected. It's a fairly happy, peaceful dream, and we get guidance. So we're able, through the arrow this side, this is the reinterpretation of the ego's misperceptions. So we're able to be guided in what to think and say and do in this world. Okay, so I think that leads, so yeah, watch that if you have some time. Leads us into where we are now in the session and into today's lesson. So let me just record and going. Okay, so this is lesson 157. We're on to today. If you can read the lesson in the original alternative form, and then paragraph 1 in the alternative.
Into his presence would I enter now. I choose to enter perfect love's presence now.
Okay. So see what he has to say about this one. Any thoughts on that overtly? You said you had an experience of it when you were walking today.
Yes, I just kept repeating it to myself, that phrase. And for a few moments, I listened to the ocean and watched my feet walking over the ground and watching my shoulders moving.
Yeah. So you were purely present by observing your sense perceptions. You bring yourself into the present moment, because there's no other thoughts. That's why these practices like breath watching and body scanning and vipassana, those are the two bases of vipassana meditation. You watch your breath and you scan your body and you observe your body, which are also those have become the foundational principles of mindfulness, because they just took the vipassana principles and they said, okay, this works, but we'll call it something else. We'll call it mindfulness rather than vipassana in Buddhism. But it's the same principles on which the whole mindfulness movement is based. So by just observing the breath, by observing body sensations, you come into an awareness of this deeper awareness beyond the mind. Just, okay, I'm just aware in the moment. And it feels very nice. It feels relaxing. It feels calming. It's very good for our minds. It's good for our whole system, our bodies, and so on. Okay, so do you want to read number 1 for us?
And the alternative?
Yeah, the only translation will be heaven. Heaven is state of pure formless awareness. Otherwise,
okay,
much the same.
This is a day of silence and trust. It is a special time of promise in my calendar of days. It is time.
Yeah.
It is a time that the state of pure formless awareness has set apart to shine upon and give me a timeless awareness of this day. When echoes of eternity are heard, I am wholly aware this day, for today ushers in a new experience, a different kind of feeling awareness. I have spent long days and nights in celebrating death. Today I learned to feel the joy of life.
Yeah. Spend long days and nights in celebrating death. So this is the death wish. The thought system of the ego is a death wish. So we celebrate celebrate death. Maybe change that to value. So whenever we think an ego thought, we're valuing death because the whole thought system is a death wish and will lead us to death. So you don't think overtly, when you're getting angry or you're getting frustrated or you're getting irritable or you're feeling sad or lonely or anxious, you don't think that this is worshiping death, but that's exactly what you're doing because those thoughts lead you down the track towards inevitable death. So then hence he says in valuing death. Today I learned to feel the joy of life. Okay, so what's he saying here in summary of number 1?
Well, today is the day of silence and trust. It's a special time. And it's the Holy Aware Day that ushers a new experience of a different kind and of a feeling of awareness. We've spent so many days and nights valuing death, but today we're going to learn to feel the joy of life through entering into the presence.
Oh, so every day he says, well, this is a special, sometimes he goes, well, this is a special day. He says it quite often because he's saying in the moment, if you allow it to be, it is. In the moment you can really have an awakening experience, and it quite a different, an extraordinary experience of life if you allow it. Okay, so then moving to number 2, it's going to be pretty much the same as the alternative.
This is another crucial turning point in the curriculum. We add a new dimension now, a fresh experience that gives us true awareness of all that we have learned already and prepare us for what we have yet to learn. It brings us to the door where learning ceases, and we catch a glimpse of what lies past the highest reaches it can possibly attain. It leaves us here an instant, and we go beyond it, sure of our direction and our only goal.
Yeah. So thoughts on that?
Well, it's preparing us for what's ahead. And it's the crucial point. It's going to be a fresh experience. It brings us to the door where learning ceases, and we catch a glimpse of what lies past the highest reaches it can possibly attain. So, sky's the limit. Just keep doing your spiritual practice, but without expectation.
Yeah. Gives us here a moment. And go beyond it, sure of our direction, our only goal. So this holy instant or holy aware moment becomes a little miniature of heaven. We go, oh, that's an expanded experience. It feels really good. And it's a little glimpse of the state of pure formless awareness. And he's saying that this is, brings us to the door where learning ceases. We catch a glimpse. So it's like you open a little crack in the door to this other dimension, and you're having a peek in, and you get a little experience of that light coming in, and it feels wonderful. And the more we do that, the more we open that crack, the more we closer we're getting to complete awakening and transcending this world entirely. As that crack widens, we become more and more rooted in the presence, in the now, and increasing levels of peace and love and joy come into our awareness. That's the idea. And ultimately, it's just a door. We're going to go beyond it to the light. So number 3 leads us nicely into number 3.
Today it will be given me to feel a touch of pure formless awareness through my will return to paths of learning.
Though I will return.
Though I will return
Touch of pure formless awareness. Though I will return to paths of learning. So he's saying you can have this glimpse of this transcendent realm of pure formless awareness, and then you'll return to paths of learning. You'll carry on. You'll come back to the lessons, and you'll carry on learning and reading the text. But it's giving you a glimpse of the ultimate, the end state of heaven. Okay, so yet
I have come far enough along the way to alter time sufficiently to rise above its laws and walk into eternity a while. This I will learn to do increasingly, as every lesson, faithfully rehearsed, brings me more swiftly to this wholly aware place and leaves me for a moment to myself.
Now, so thoughts on that?
Well, again, back to getting a touch of the pure formless awareness through our practice. Bring us more wholly aware to a place that leaves me for a moment to my large self. Yeah.
Every lesson faithfully rehearsed brings me more swiftly to this holy place, and this holy aware place, holy aware state, maybe not place, holy aware state, and leaves me for a moment to myself. So rise above its laws, and so this is a key point. We walk into eternity through the now. The now, the holy instant, the now is this little portal to eternity. So when we in the moment, aware with no thought, that's a portal to eternity. And for that moment, we're accessing. It's like the glimpse, a little opening into this other realm. And I'll learn to do it increasingly as every lesson faithfully rehearsed. So it brings me more swiftly to this holy aware state and leaves me for a moment to myself. So in that moment, in the holy instant, myself is revealed to me. I have this awareness of who I really am, without all of the past and the future and all of the thoughts that cloud it. Okay, so it will direct
my practicing today, for what I ask for now is what it wills. And having joined my will with this day, what I am asking must be given me. Given to me? Given me.
Yeah.
Given to me, yeah. Nothing is needed but today's idea to awaken my mind and let it rest in still anticipation and quiet joy within me, within I quickly leave the world behind.
Wherein, in which I quickly leave the world behind. They're saying this, the ideas are really just catalysts for a state of mind. That's what he's using them for. So, okay, just an idea, and the idea opens the door, so to speak, to that state of awareness. That's clever. He's using our thoughts. He knows that we're so obsessed with thinking. So he's saying, okay, to ask you to let go of your thinking maybe is not necessarily that helpful for you at this stage. So instead, we're just going to redirect your thinking, and these thoughts given to you in these lessons are going to be the way that you start to awaken, you start to access these higher states. And that's why he's saying frequently in the day, do it, because every time you do it, you give yourself the chance to access this awareness. And so it's a little glimpse of heaven again. And the more you do that, the more you start going, well, this is actually, how I choose to live. I'd like to stay in this awareness much more often. Okay, so from this day
onward, my teaching takes on a genuine devotion and a glow that travels from my fingertips to those I touch and bless those I look upon. A vision reaches everyone I meet and everyone I think of and who thinks of me. For my experience today will so transform my awareness that it becomes the foundation for the wholly aware thoughts of pure formless awareness.
Holy thoughts of God. I think we might want to just translate this as 4. You see, it's like a glimpse of this. If it's a state, God is pure formless awareness of perfect love. And this is all just warm up to it. It's getting us into it, isn't it? These moments of awareness are warming us up for the ultimate state of pure formless awareness. So we're not just going to go into this state of pure formless awareness, perfect bliss immediately. It's like, okay, well, we need to start getting access to it, start having glimpses of it. So what's he saying in number 5? Elaine, you still there?
Oh, yeah, sorry, yes. Yeah, where am I? Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah.
What's he saying in number 5?
From this day, have I not just read that?
Yeah.
6, yeah.
Okay, let's move on to number 6, shall we?
Yeah.
Well, what happened? Did you just lose concentration, or?
It was so hot today. Well, it's not that hot, but I just see, I must have just had a little doze. Sorry. I am concentrating on it, but so relaxing that sometimes you have like a little light doze. I went into the pure formless awareness.
You went into the formless awareness for a bit. Okay. So my body will be sanctified today.
My body will be sanctified today. Its only purpose being now to bring the vision of what I experience this day to awaken the world. We cannot give experience like this directly, yet it leaves a vision in my awareness, which we can offer everyone to help them come sooner to the same experience, which the world has quietly forgotten, and the state of pure formless awareness is remembered for a while.
Oh. So what's he saying there?
Well, the body will be sanctified. That's an interesting way to put it. Sanctified.
Yeah.
Like purified.
Made holy.
It's an old-fashioned word, isn't it? So
Yeah, sanctified meaning. Let's see. Set apart as or declare holy, consecrate. Free from sin, purified. Free from sin
Okay,
and purified. That's
right,
sort of religious terms.
right,
My body will be freed of
yeah,
negativity, maybe. Freed of
that's more, yeah, straightforward.
negativity today. Yeah, sanctified. Its only purpose being now. So the body just becomes a means to communicate this awakening to the world.
Yeah,
This is a vision which I can offer to everyone.
and
Leading me and them to the state of pure formless awareness.
getting closer and closer.
Yeah. And so by our example, we offer this. I cannot give this the experience directly, but I can offer loving kindness. I can offer to be helpful to the people. I can offer them things that will help them on their journey to experiencing that. And that's that's what I can do. Okay.
Yeah.
As this experience increases,
As this experience increases, and all goals but this become of a little worth to me, the world to which I will return becomes a little closer to the end of time, a little more like the state of pure formless awareness in its ways, a little nearer its deliverance. And I, who practice true awareness of the world, will come to perceive the truth more surely, the vision more distinct. The time will come when I will not return in the same form in which I now appear, for I will have no need of it. Yet now it has a purpose and I will serve it well.
oh, so all good. Saying, it's all part of the process. It has a purpose. It's bringing me and the world closer to our ultimate deliverance, and that's fine. I don't have to go to heaven straight away. It's all part of this process.
I mean, it's good time, yeah. Its own good time. Yeah.
Okay, should we do the last? What have we got? 9. Yeah. Okay. So last couple.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we can do a meditation on it at 6. I've got to go in about 3 minutes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Today we'll embark upon a course I have not dreamed of, but the wholly aware one, the giver of the happy dreams of life, translator of perception into truth, the wholly aware guide to the state of pure formless awareness that has been given me, has dreamed for me this journey, which I make and start today, with the experience this day holds out to me to be my own.
Yeah. So what's he saying there?
Well, this course that I'm on now is something I've never embarked on before. True. And this is a wholly aware one. And the giver of happy dreams of life. And translated into the truth, to the state of pure formless awareness.
Yeah.
So we start that today, or we start it right now.
Yeah. So the Holy Spirit is our guide, which is going to guide us back to this state of pure formless awareness. Faith. Okay,
I will enter into my true self's presence now, serenely unaware of everything, except its shining awareness and perfect love. The experience of its awareness will stay with me. and there will be an instant which transcends all vision, even this, the purest. This I will never teach, and for I did not attain it through learning. Yet the vision speaks of my remembrance of what I knew that instant and will surely know again.
Yeah. So what's he saying there?
Well, right now we can enter into the true self presence serenely and unaware of everything except its own shining presence of perfect love. And it's yet the vision speaks of your remembrance of what you already knew that instant, and you will surely know it again. So
Yeah.
we already knew it. It's been, yeah.
Yeah. And we'll surely know again. So it's taking us into the highest state. And this is the mystic experience he's talking about. An instant like I described will be a moment where everything just drops away, and you can't really teach that. Transcends vision. There's no perception. There's no vision. This I can't teach if I didn't obtain it through learning. Right? It's the accident. He's saying Lightsman accident. It will happen.
Yeah.
But it happens when you do these kinds of practices. The vision speaks of my remembrance of what I knew that moment and will surely know again. So the vision is a little glimpse, gives us access to that moment. And the more we have these awakening visions, the more likely we are to have this, transcendent state, or at least transcendent mystic peak experiences happening for us. So, again, keep practicing and trusting that, when it's meant to happen, it'll happen. In the meantime, you're managing your mind, you feel fairly peaceful, you're fairly happy. That's good enough.
Oh yes, no, it's just a gentle road, a gentle journey, isn't it? Without expectation. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it'll happen when it happens, and you're on the right path.
Yeah. It's not having that expectation. That's the thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. So that's the lesson done. Sorry, we rushed it a little bit, but I have to go now.
But we got the
join at 6. Yeah. We'll have another look. We'll do a meditation on it, and there's 3 paragraphs of text. We'll meditate on that, and we've got a couple of hours to do it, so it'll be nice. So I'll see you see you a bit later.
See you later. Okay, bye.
Will you message Christine and ask her to join? Always good.
I will do. That. Yes, of course. Right. And John. Okay.
And John.
Bye.
Okay. Nice to
yep.
you. Thanks.
Yep.
All right.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Namaste.
See you later. Namaste.
Okay. Bye for now. All right. So good session. See you a bit later from the evening session at 6 p.m. UK time. At 7 p.m. SA time. If you'd like to join us, join then. If you're not part of the community, look below. I put a link to join us for our next masterclass. You can find out more about how to do that. So I hope you enjoyed the session. And if you're not a subscriber, subscribe to the channel. Okay, namaste.